here with Miami coach Anthony Noreen ahead of this weekend's home series against Arizona State, and we'll take some questions.
Off to a 6-0 start, Coach. The best for the program since back the 07-08 season, but a little bit different ways, it seems like, each week. And this past weekend, a couple of very exciting overtime games. Had to come from behind in those games and everything. So just kind of the mindset looking back at this past weekend.
Yeah, hard-fought games, obviously, both night. Really good Lindenwood team. They were fast. They were deadly in transition. Obviously, Friday night, they were really good on the power play. Saturday, a little bit different of a game without any special teams. But we felt like we could have been better Saturday based on how we played on Friday. Obviously, we chased the game a bit on Friday. You fall down 3-1. And again, all credit possible to our guys for finding a way to dig out of two holes. You're down 3-1. You're down 4-3 late. You're getting ready to pull a goalie, and next you're winning in overtime. So in the next night, you're down 1-0, but I thought we played a much better game, way more to our core values. Obviously, one of the keys we talked about, you and I talked about before the game was staying out of the box and to not take a penalty. And that's about as good as you could do in that department. But I just thought, just our overall team game was much better, and you felt like that night you deserved it based on the way we played. Where Friday, didn't love our game, but the sign of a good team is you find a way to win. So two hard-fought wins on the road, and with the parity in college hockey this year, you got to find ways to win, and that's something we love about this group. There's just a good way about them. When it gets hard, they come together.
One word that just keeps popping into my head with these guys is tenacity, and it's different lines. It's a different player, and I know you and I kind of talked about it, and I think you and Tim talked about it after the game. Ryan Smith, one of those guys that works really, really, really hard, hadn't seen the rewards come his way until this past weekend.
Yeah, and I think, leading into this weekend, he was probably the guy that's maybe knocked on the door the most without getting rewarded. I think he's had a really good early part. Obviously, going into the weekend, there's a sample size of the 4 games, but we had, all these practices, however many weeks it was of practice together, where we got to see his, you call it tenacity, but just his second effort, his fight, his second, third, fourth effort to get around loose pucks, and then his skill level in tight areas. And he's another guy that works at it. He works at his craft. He shoots pucks every day. He's here taking care and putting in extra on top of what we put on these guys' plate, which is plenty already. So good to see him get rewarded. I think, obviously with the penalty being in the box at a key moment for 10 minutes on Friday night, I think gave a little extra fire as well. And, really good Saturday night for him as well. And again, different guys stepping up, not always the same. And a lot of times on the road where maybe guys are going to be keying in on your top guys and trying to shut them down, you need different guys to step up. And certainly that line, him, Hazy, and Helge, they've had some massive goals for us this year at some big times.
With Ryan, he scored 24 goals for you in his last year, or your last year at Tri-City, and had, maybe not the year he wanted at Quinnipiac. So when he wanted to look to transfer, how quickly did you know you wanted him right here?
5 minutes into the conversation, probably 5 seconds into the conversation with him, of just, the biggest thing is a person, but then it's a year apart. And typically for someone like me or Nizey more recently, or even like Troy, like you're used to, not that you talk to your guys every day or even every week, but like you've got an idea of what's going on with guys when you're in junior hockey and they move down and they're playing college. You're staying in enough, close enough contact where you know how their season's going. You're talking to guys that, also played for you that on your team. You know what's kind of going on with them. And, when you go a year plus without just, you can't talk to guys that are on other teams, college teams. You just can't do it, no matter how close you are with them. So from a distance, you see what you think's maybe going on. You try and draw your own assumptions on it. But for me, it was just, what is his reasoning? What's his why? Why the change? Why here? Why us? And I think he probably wanted to hear the same thing. Why him? Why here? Why now? After the year we had last year. And I think once we pretty quickly realized we're on the same page, it's all right, let's do this. And again, I've talked about it with other guys before, whether it be Vlad or some of the other guys. There's certain guys where you have exit meetings with, and nothing to do with where I was moving on to as a coach, but like man, it was unbelievable coaching you. Like guys like you are why I do this. And the amount of conversations me and the rest of the staff have had with guys at the junior level where you never know, the hockey world's a small world. But man, loved coaching you. And if I ever got a chance, would love to do it again. And Ryan was certainly one of those guys. And I think he's excited to be here. I think it's for all the bad of the transfer portal, which there certainly is, I think sometimes we fail to look at the good of it. That is a situation that's the good of it. And that's nothing against Quinnipiac, or sometimes it's just not the right fit, not the right time, or it is the right fit and it is the right time. And I think Ryan's got an opportunity to do that here, and that could be a real positive thing.
Talked about the tenacity and resiliency of your team. You're staring down a deficit in the third period and able to come back and get the win in overtime 2 nights in a row. We've talked about the leadership on the team, the guys, the group leadership on the team. What are they saying on the bench? What are they saying in the locker room going into that third period that you can say here?
And not that it's inappropriate. I just think that's one of the special things about our game is you keep that in there. I'm not afraid to share themes, and I think the themes are there's a high standard amongst us. There's a high level of trust where we're able to hold each other accountable to those standards because we know we're living them ourselves. And when I say we, I'm speaking for the guys. So I think that there's a trust where they've been able to, hey, if we're not where we should be, like I'm going to say something, and whether I'm a freshman and you're a senior or vice versa, like we've built up enough trust where I'm going to say it. But most importantly, I'm going to go out on the ice and I'm going to do it. And, sometimes when there's a team and guys are yapping or screaming when things aren't going well, you're almost like, okay, like that's great to say it, but if you don't go out and do it, like it's all for naught. So, we've made a really pointed effort to not insert ourselves, kind of in those moments. And I think that's how leadership grows. And ultimately your goal as a coach is where that comes from them. That's not to say you're not holding guys accountable or speaking or giving a game plan, but the best teams are self-policed and self-coached and push each other. And I think there's just a lot of that, but it's different guys. I don't care how good of a leader you are. If it's constantly coming from the same guy, like that, something's wrong. It needs to be different guys stepping up and taking the lead in those situations. And, we saw that right away. We saw that in a lot of these individuals last year in their respective groups. We saw that certainly when the program was here and different guys being put in extremely difficult leadership contexts and having to navigate them with a group of guys they didn't know that well. And even they were like, man, that was as many guys as we've seen do an elite job at, of any group we've ever worked with. It wasn't one guy or 5 guys. It was 10 guys, 12 guys fit. And so we felt like, that would be there. Now, again, it's going to continue to get harder. We're going to be in even more situations. We need to keep pushing that in the right direction. But I think that high standard, that high level of holding each other accountable is a huge key to that.
With conference play starting this weekend, I'm curious what you guys as a staff and what the players have learned from kind of each of your first 3 series, whether it's play style or what you guys learned about yourselves or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly a belief amongst this group, which is good. You a lot of times when you are trying to establish core values and habits and details and why things matter, if you don't get results, it's not to say you don't keep pounding that rock and you don't keep instilling it and teaching it, but when you're able to talk about things and show things and see them in action and practice them, it's like, okay, here is the result of those things. That's why we do this. That's why we talk about this. This is why we value this. I think it, catches on a little bit quicker. So I think that's been good. Obviously, we know it's not going to get any easier. I mean, none of the games we've played so far have been easy. We've played physical. We've played fast. We've played, we faced excellent special teams. There's been a little bit of everything. And obviously this weekend, again, another completely different animal that we're going to see.
How is 17-year-old Ilya Morozov's game different from maybe the 14, 15-year-old kid that you were looking at to bring into Tri-City?
I mean, he's just taking monumental steps. And one of the things when you're looking at, and obviously we've recruited a lot of young players here. And I think that's something that, David, obviously, with his job in the USHL and then his job with the U.S. National Program, and Troy from his time in the USHL, like you kind of realize what you're looking for with those guys and what the most important things that wind up translating when you're trying to project 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. With Ilya, it's his mindset and his approach. Obviously, he's big and he's strong and he's got skill, but the way that he works at it and the way that he approaches it. And what I keep saying about him, like, listen, obviously he's showing really well on the ice, and that's going to be great for, if you're an NHL scout and you know what you're looking for, like you see that and you're like, okay, that's different. That's special. Wait till they sit down and have an interview with him, and wait till they get to know the person and his background and what he's about and his values and his morals and how he interacts with his teammates and how he interacts with anybody, really. That to us is the main separator. It's that mindset and approach. It's who he is as a person, but he's a kid that is going to maximize every resource and everything possible to chase his goals and dreams. And I think he's inspiring to all of us. Like, he's inspiring to 25-year-olds on our team. He's inspiring to our staff. Like, man, like, you do it the way that kid does it. Like, doesn't guarantee anything, but you're going to give yourself a chance.
That line with Ilya, Mateo, and Kocha has been really strong early on this season. But, like you've mentioned, conference play is kind of a different beast. I'm curious if there's anything you've told them or told, all your young guys to, make sure that they're aware of what conference play can bring right now.
Well, I think it's no different than any week where we're, touching on Arizona State. Here's our strengths. Here's what they do really well. And here's where they could hurt you. And obviously, we feel that this is going to be the best team we've played so far. They're as dangerous as any team offensively in the country. They got a first-round pick coming back that was arguably their best player last year. They're inserting arguably their best D-man who hasn't played a game yet this year into the lineup. They're inserting probably, I assume, a top-line guy that was a point a game at the professional hockey level last year into the lineup. And they've got something to prove. So, we've got to be, we've got our work cut out for us this week. So it's, hey, here's the things they do well. Here's how we're going to try and defend them, approach them, attack them, different things like that. And that consistency is how we're going to go about it every week. And whether that's a conference opponent, a non-conference opponent, coming off wins, coming off, maybe not a weekend you love, we're going to just approach it that same way and try and have that discipline to make sure we stick to that no matter what. And so this week's been no different other than, hey, we know that this is a really well-coached and really organized and really dangerous ASU team coming in.
You touched on it about the pro player coming in, hasn't had a chance to play in the first 6 games. His name's Jack Beck. And he was a kid that scored, 85 points in the OHL a couple of years ago, but then did get a chance to play in the ECHL last year. He played, 36 games last year, a few games in the AHL as well. What kind of animal is that? I mean, it's without getting into the whole debate about players in college.
It's within the rules, is what it is. Everyone's trying to win. We're worried about our program, just like they're worried about their program and doing what's best for them. And Greg's obviously a great coach. He's done an unbelievable job building that program. I'm sure he wouldn't have done it if he didn't think it gave their program a better chance to be successful. That's not to say some other program might shy away from it. Some other program might dive headfirst into it and have 10 of those guys on their team next year. It's to each their own. I know they're really excited about him, and obviously he's proven it at a really high level. So he's probably going to be a dangerous player.
Yeah, he's obviously going to be a very good player. I got to be this guy to ask Shika, any updates there?
No updates.
Here with Ryan Smith, the NCHC Forward of the Week, heading into this week's series against Arizona State, and we'll take some questions.
Ryan, Forward of the Week because of 1 goal Friday night, 3 goals on Saturday night. So tell us, you had a few days to think about it now. You actually had a 4-point night on Saturday night, so you had a few days to think about it. What was that night like for you?
Yeah, it was special. I mean, I haven't had a hat trick in a long time, so that was pretty cool. But then, I just got to give credit to my line mates. They did a lot of work for me that night and helped me out, get me the puck and stuff like that, and then I just capitalized on my chances. So.
We said 3 goals, but the 1 assist that you got looked like it was going to be a goal as well, and Helgeson kind of redirected it out front. So it looked like it probably was going to go in regardless of if he got a piece of that or not.
Yeah. I mean, he was given to me a little bit on the bench there that he tipped it, but it was good to see him get one though too. So.
Overall, as this season has started out, obviously starting out very well for you, how have you seen the team develop and the cohesion with the team? How have you been able to put it together so quickly and jump out to these 6 wins?
Yeah, honestly, I think you come in here and you see so many new guys that everybody just has to bond together. Holy wow! So not everybody has to there's little groups and stuff like that, but I think that everybody had to talk to each other and bond with each other, and it's not like just one guy's talking to this guy and stuff like that. So I think just becoming a team like that really helped us, and then also just being in the locker room. We're here, guys are here from in the mornings every day, and then people come back too at 4:00, and everyone's here stretching, working out in the shooting room, doing all the extra stuff too. So then you build more stuff like that as well.
You're seeing success on all the lines, and you guys are gelling well in each of those regards on each of the lines, each defensive pairing. And how do you keep that going? Competition gets harder in the NCHC. Every day is a tough matchup, no matter who you're playing. How do you keep that rolling here as we get into conference play?
Yeah, I think just taking it every day, day by day. I think in practice, like just being good, no matter what day it is, Monday, Thursday, just being dialed in every single day. Obviously communicating too with the lines. You got to talk to your partners, you got to talk to your line mates, and really build up that team camaraderie a little bit, and then taking it day by day.
A lot of Tri-City guys over the course of the first couple of years have elected to come back, and you're one of them. So what was that decision like to come back and play for Coach Noreen, and what's it been like now to play with him at the college level?
Yeah, obviously after I knew I was transferring, he was my first call right away. I knew I wanted to play for him immediately. He's the best coach I've ever played for, and obviously I think that you see that with everyone coming back too, with a bunch of different guys wanting to be here, and it's just a special place here too.
Did you feel like the speed and the pace that you guys played with and against this past weekend was anything like what you've experienced in conference games so far? Because it seemed like from just watching it.
Yeah, I mean it was fast. Like they're a good team. I think in Lindenwood too, especially. I think they surprised us a little bit with their speed. I think they came out flying. They were flying a lot. They were playing well, and then we just had to match that though, especially. And I think in conference though, every game is going to be really hard. Like no matter who you're playing, every game is a tough matchup. So it's going to be good. It'll be a good test for us.
And what do you know about the NCHC? I mean, you're coming in from the outside, but obviously you've heard about it, so you know a little bit about it. So what do you think about that conference?
Yeah, I have a few buddies on some of the teams around here, so they tell me a lot about it and how it's very pro and very professional. And obviously every night is a battle. Every night's going to be a challenge, and no matter who you're playing, like it could be top, bottom team, like it doesn't matter. So it's gonna be tough, but I mean. I don't think I've ever played against a NCHC team, but it'll be a good challenge. So,
you mentioned the transfer in, and I want to dive into that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. You're at a great program at Quinnipiac, has had a lot of success. They're doing well this year, and you transferred to a team that the year before had won 3 games. What was besides playing for Noreen, what was the inspiration and what made this such a great fit for you?
Yeah, I think obviously it was a tough decision to transfer. Quinnipiac's a great program, and they're doing well this year. I have a lot of good friends still on that team and talk to them a lot. But I think here, just knowing that it was going to be a full regroup, there's bunch of new guys coming in, knew a good amount of guys actually that were coming here, and talked to them over the summer a little bit, and we all had the same mindset that we wanted to bring this place back to what it was, and be back in the NCHE playoffs and stuff like that, and make this program great and pack this place and make it unbelievable again, and just have a good time too. Like I think obviously Noreen was a big part of it too, but also just the facilities and the place and everything too.
You guys are 6-0. You're coming home Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
You're starting conference play. All of things are good right now, but how do you guys kind of stay grounded coming into this series and just make sure that you're playing your game?
Yeah, I think like I said before, I think it's just every day. We take it every day, day by day here. Like no matter if it's a Monday, if it's a Thursday, you're just trying to put your work in every day. You come back to the rink, like I said, like we're just doing all that little stuff to stay grounded and not get too high, get too low. I think that's what we talk a lot, especially in between periods too. Like sometimes we can get a little high, sometimes we get a low, but we have a lot of good leaders too that help us stay equal the whole time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
No, thank you.